What's up, curious minds? Welcome back to Intriguing Info, the channel where we explore the wildest, weirdest, and most fascinating stories history has to offer. Today, we're diving into a war so short, you could have blinked and missed it. That's right, we're talking about the shortest war in history. It lasted less than an episode of your favorite TV show. Heck, you probably spend more time scrolling on TikTok. Intrigued? Let's get into it. Alright, let's set the stage. The year is 1896, the place, Zanzibar, an island off the coast of modern-day Tanzania. At the time, Zanzibar was a British protectorate with a sultan ruling under the not-so-gentle guidance of the British Empire. But when the sultan died suddenly, things escalated faster than a viral meme. What happened next became the shortest war in recorded history, the Anglo-Zanzibar War. And get this, it lasted just 38 minutes. Yes, you heard that right. Less than the time it takes to microwave dinner and binge the first act of your favorite sitcom. So, here's the tea. The old sultan, Hamad bin Thuwaini, was cool with British rule. But when he suddenly died on August 25, 1896, some say under suspicious circumstances, his cousin, Khalid bin Bargash, declared himself the new sultan. Khalid wasn't exactly the British Empire's favorite person. He wanted to assert Zanzibar's independence, which, didn't sit well with the British, who had their eyes on controlling trade routes in the Indian Ocean. Within hours, the British demanded Khalid step down. Khalid said, "No thanks," and barricaded himself inside the palace with around 2,800 loyal troops. Tensions were boiling over. By the morning of August 27, 1896, the British were done playing nice. They gave Khalid an ultimatum: vacate the palace by 9 a.m. or face the consequences. Spoiler alert, Khalid didn't budge. At exactly 9:02 a.m., British warships in the harbor opened fire on the palace. It wasn't even a fair fight. The British had state-of-the-art warships with big guns, and Khalid's forces? They had a few old cannons and muskets that looked like they belonged in a museum. The bombardment was brutal. Within minutes, the palace was in ruins, the Sultan's artillery was destroyed, and his small navy, it was literally one ship, was sunk. Casualties? Over 500 Zanzibari soldiers and civilians were killed or wounded, while the British suffered, wait for it, just one minor injury. So, what happened to Khalid? As soon as the palace was reduced to rubble, he ran, literally ran, to the German consulate to hide. The British demanded the Germans hand him over, but they refused, saying, diplomatic immunity. Khalid eventually escaped to mainland East Africa, where he lived in exile until he was captured years later. Meanwhile, the British installed a new sultan, Hamoud bin Muhammad, who was much more agreeable to their rule. And just like that, the war, and Zanzibar's bid for independence, was over. Now, you're probably wondering, why did this war end so quickly? Well, the British Empire was at its peak, boasting one of the most powerful militaries in the world. Zanzibar, on the other hand, was basically a small island with limited resources. It wasn't a fight, it was a steamroller versus a sandcastle. The British had the firepower and the strategy to end it before it even started. Today, Zanzibar is part of Tanzania, and while the Anglo-Zanzibar War might seem like a tiny blip in history, it actually highlights a bigger picture. It's a reminder of how imperialism shaped the modern world, often with devastating consequences for local populations. The war also holds a Guinness World Record as the shortest war in history. Fun fact: it's even taught in military history classes as an example of how sheer power and strategy can quickly end conflicts. But, hey, it's not every day you can say your war was shorter than your lunch break. So, what's the takeaway? The Anglo-Zanzibar War was short, but it speaks volumes about the imbalance of power during the age of imperialism. It's a fascinating little slice of history that shows how even the briefest conflicts can leave a lasting impact. And hey, next time you're rushing to finish something in 38 minutes, just remember, you're taking as long as an entire war. Thanks for watching this episode of Intriguing Info. If you thought this story was as wild as I did, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss more jaw-dropping content. And let me know in the comments, if you had 38 minutes to make history, what would you do? Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and remember, sometimes the shortest stories are the most unforgettable.